The Creeper. A very split personality. First impressions can be deceptive. If the average citizen of Metropolis were to glimpse the Creeper somersaulting through the city, laughing maniacally, they might think that this figure with green hair, gleaming eyes, and a garish costume was some kind of escaped lunatic jack-in-the-box. Is it any wonder that the Creeper is often considered a criminal instead of the hero he really is? Jack Ryder's life has been shaped by madness. It has affected him in both positive and negative ways. His father was a successful publisher, but his mother was eventually diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and she died in a mental institution while Jack was still a child. Inspired by his father's achievements, but always terrified of sharing his mother's fate, Jack grew up to become a crusading journalist, fiercely pursuing and exposing corruption wherever he could find it. His expose column, Jack's Hot Seat, was the most widely read feature in New York City. This success led him to move to Gotham City and become the host of the sensationalist TV show You Are Wrong, on which he deliberately goaded and antagonized his guests, while highlighting controversial topics such as stem cell therapy and medical nanotechnology. Arrogant, driven, and charismatic, Jack was loved by his audience. Yet in his private life, he seemed to enjoy making enemies and driving friends and lovers away. His determination and overconfidence would have fateful consequences. Dr. Vincent Yates was a scientist who promised to revolutionize medical treatments with his experimental nanocell therapy, a miraculous procedure which would allow the human body to regenerate completely after the most devastating injury or disease. In search of an exclusive story, Jack broke into the scientist's research facility, only to be captured by a mobster's gang. They were led by Yates's secret backer, a gang lord named Hewson, who was furious that his money had been used to fund what considered to be a glory project. Jack watched helplessly as the Hoods murdered Yates's lab assistants. In an instant, Jack knew that he was doomed. He was a witness to the killings. It was certain that the thugs would now kill him. In a desperate bid for freedom, Jack grabbed Yates, using him as a shield. Yates, however, injected Jack with the last sample of the nanocells in an attempt to save the fruits of his experiment. The only other sample had been used to treat a teenage burns victim named Gavin. The treatment left his very cells biologically unstable, and the stress of the evening's events would cause him to mutate into a hideous shape-shifting monster, which brought the laboratory crashing down around itself when the mobsters made their getaway. Hewson was certain Yates was bluffing when he said that only remaining formula was inside Jack Ryder. To prove that he meant business, Hewson had his men shoot Jack in the head and dump him in the ocean. Lying inert, broken and bullet-ridden at the bottom of a cliff, Jack Ryder was clearly a goner. However, the formula in his bloodstream had by now interacted with his body chemistry. His eyes flashed open, illuminated with an eerie yellow-green light, and Jack Ryder was resurrected as the creature known as the Creeper. He now had green hair, yellow skin, an outlandish costume, and a maniacal, ear-splitting laugh, so agonizing to hear that Jack's killers were soon writhing in pain, covering their ears. Ryder found that he now had superhuman agility. He also discovered, while under fire from one of the goons who had assaulted him, that he had the ability to change places with his alter ego at will, simply by thinking it. Jack would later learn that his unstable alter ego had to want to make the switch as well. Whether the formula created the Creeper or just released him from Ryder's troubled subconscious is impossible to say. What is certain is that it unleashed a formidable crime-fighting force into the world. Scouring the city for the missing Dr. Yates, the Creeper crossed paths with Gotham City's famous guardian, Batman, who was busy hunting a hatchet-wielding vigilante known as the Axeman. Batman let the Creeper go on his way, although he was less convinced by the Creeper's protestations of being good. The Creeper was the first to come across the Axeman, who unfortunately was not as conciliatory as Batman, and the battle began. Despite taking an axe blade in the chest, the Creeper defeated and captured the Axeman. The two personalities, Jack Ryder and the Creeper, had begun to work together. Meanwhile, Gavin had survived the lab's destruction. He continued to mutate at a terrifying rate, consuming 2 hikers to sustain his monstrous bulk and strength, and slaughtering Houston and his men. Gavin had been searching for Dr. Yates, but Yates had escaped in the melee. Using his scientific brilliance and stolen evidence, a curious Batman discovered the Creeper's secret identity and tracked him to Yates's lair, where he discovered the Creeper bound and hooked up to blood-draining devices. The Creeper was told by Dr. Yates that not only did the formula which created him contain the Joker's trademark madness-inducing nerve toxin, but that Dr. Yates had been working with the Joker all along. Despite fighting off an army of similarly mutated Creeper clones, the two heroes could not prevent Yates's escape. However, Ryder used his TV show to trigger a manhunt, and the scientist was eventually found. Tragically, the Joker had got to him first. Dr. Yates had been reduced to another grinning, catatonic victim of the clown Prince of Crime. But Yates would return in a new guise to haunt the Creeper. Dr. Yates's research had involved altering the human body at a genetic level. He had even experimented on his own body, injecting himself with the potent serum. But the Joker venom that was a component in the injections ended up transforming him forever. Madness, a death's head grin, a maniacal laugh, and green hair were its awful effects. Yates also gained the ability to alter his physical form and his appearance to look like anyone. But these powers were unstable and corrupting. He grew even more psychotic. Calling his new chameleon-like self Proteus, he set about creating his own criminal empire. Proteus would remain a thorn in the Creeper's side for many years. Once the Creeper learned the true extent of Proteus's evil influence, he began to home in on the enemy. Fearing his nemesis, Proteus tried to frame the Creeper for a murder. The two became locked in an epic fight, which left the Creeper seemingly defeated, tied to a sewer grating as the water level rose and threatened to drown him. However, the Creeper managed to free himself and stop his archfoe from destroying a dam. Later, Proteus tricked the Creeper into taking on the Justice Society veteran Wildcat in the boxing ring. Proteus kidnapped a champion boxer whilst they were fighting, but Wildcat and the Creeper teamed up to rescue the champ and defeat Proteus. For the time being, at least. As well as his fighting crime in his Creeper guise, Jack continued his career as a journalist and TV host, using every possible means to expose fraud, corruption, and hypocrisy. As the Creeper, he fought a motley and bizarre collection of villains, including a robot murderer powered by an unconscious psychic, a double-faced gangster named Angel Devlin, a spheroid robot engine of destruction called Rollo, the age-manipulating mastermind Mr. Wrinkles, and the weather-powered villain Dr. Storm. However, despite his best efforts, society still considered the Creeper to be a dangerous outsider and a potential criminal. Ryder himself even publicly offered $1 million to anyone who could capture and unmask his alter ego. This misconception worked to his advantage when he infiltrated the secret society of supervillains, recruited by Star Sapphire. He kidnapped the Atom's long-standing girlfriend, Jean Loring, so the society could use her psychokinetic powers for criminal purposes. The Creeper managed to capture the society's magical mastermind, the Wizard, and to recover a cache of stolen mystical artifacts, but ultimately neither act did much to halt the society's nefarious schemes. Whilst never exactly a joiner, the Creeper has fought alongside an impressive array of heroes throughout his long career. When Batman was framed by the immortal tyrant Ra's al Ghul for the murder of his daughter Talia, the Creeper helped clear the Dark Knight's name. Batman and the Creeper have teamed up on many successive occasions, facing supervillains such as the light-powered Firefly, the deadly human insect hybrid Hellgranite, and the murderous paper construct Origami Man. The Joker would later persuade an amnesiac Creeper to join him as his partner to take the rap for a robbery, kidnap a world-famous cartoonist, and blow up the mayor's office. The Creeper has met the Justice League of America on several occasions, helping its first incarnation battle alien invaders, but only managing to qualify for reserve status, despite Batman's personal recommendation. Later, the Creeper helped out the fledgling Justice League International after the Grey Man, a sorcerer feeding on human dream energy, attacked the comatose townsfolk of Stone Ridge, Vermont. The Creeper remains a reserve member of the JLA to this day. He later teamed with more left-field heroes such as the Blue Devil, Black Orchid, Madame Xanadu, Phantom Stranger, and Man-Bat to defeat long-term Justice League enemy magician Felix Faust. Unsurprisingly, the Creeper's comrades turned down his suggestion to form a permanent team and called themselves Creeper and the Spirit Squad. During the cosmic event known as the Crisis on Infinite Earths, an eccentric recluse fused himself with a shadow demon, forcing Superman and the Creeper to join forces and stop him taking control of Earth-1, before helping the combined heroes of Earth fight the Anti-Monitor himself in a final battle. The Creeper's next joint offensive against a common foe had deadly consequences. He was personally recruited to join the Shadow Fighters, a group of powered and non-powered heroes, including Wildcat, Manhunter, and Commander Steel. They were brought together by Amanda Waller to form part of a suicidal mission to destroy the magically powered supervillain Eclipso. He had taken over a Caribbean island. The Creeper had once been tricked into accepting one of Eclipso's dark magic crystals, which put him completely under the villain's control. The episode left the Creeper with a burning desire for revenge. This, and the fact that he was unstable enough to sign up at all, made the Creeper the ideal recruit. Sadly, his commitment ended disastrously. Eclipso slaughtered the majority of the team, and the Creeper was killed by being torn apart by possessed hyenas, in the very building where the chemicals which created him had been manufactured. Eclipso would eventually be defeated by other heroes, but the Creeper's death appeared to be a meaningless sacrifice. His demise was ironic, but no one was laughing. Eventually, the Creeper's healing abilities revived and regenerated what was left of Ryder's body. Discovered wandering the jungles of Parador, he eventually returned to the USA. His death and resurrection had erased all Ryder's knowledge of his previous life as the Creeper. After years of sharing his body with an alternate self, the Creeper's dual psyche finally drove Ryder insane. As a prominent media celebrity, Jack Ryder was more used to writing headlines than making them. But once admitted to psychiatric care, his troubles were far from over. Posing as Jack's therapist, Dr. Skolos, arch-enemy Proteus coaxed the Creeper back into existence from the dark recesses of Jack's troubled psyche. Proteus's self-experimentation had made his body dangerously unstable, so his only chance of survival was to study and eventually assimilate his greatest success, the Creeper. Before Proteus could have consumed the Creeper's body, Jack saved himself by reverting back into his human form. Although Proteus managed to escape, his body now reduced to raw protoplasm. Thus began a new era for the Creeper, one that was coloured by many dark discoveries about his own nature. Jack's psychoanalyst treatment had revealed that he suffered from an extreme case of bipolar disorder, which mirrored his mother's schizophrenia. The stories she read to him, even the songs she had sung to him as a boy, had unknowingly helped create the template for his Creeper persona. The reckless, impulsive Creeper provided the perfect balance to Jack's love of order. But the longer Jack struggled to repress his Creeper side, the more unstable they both became. Professionally, Jack was kick-starting his return to journalism by writing an in-depth features for Gotham's prestigious New Edge magazine. Researching an in-depth article on Arkham Asylum would lead to an unwelcome reunion with none other than the Creeper's old sparring partner, the Joker. Transformed into the Creeper, he and the Joker started a riot, which split the asylum right down the middle, each of them commanding a makeshift army of psychopaths and supercriminals. After the arrival of Batman and a brutal battle to regain control of the facility, the Creeper admitted that he knew the asylum was about to blow, so he instigated the riot to prevent a mass breakout. Batman came away convinced that the Creeper was as much of a danger to others as he was to himself. When Jack Ryder tired of his double life, the side effects of a new wonder drug offered him a shot at normality. It caused the Creeper and Jack Ryder to split apart and become two separate individuals. At first, the situation seemed ideal. Jack was physically fine and seemingly sane, whilst the Creeper continued to subdivide into a multitude of Creepers, each representing a different aspect of madness. Each split, leaving the original Creeper progressively weaker. To resolve a temporal paradox, a vastly powerful future incarnation of the Creeper, named Insanitation, travelled back in time to track down and absorb all the rogue aspects. Despite everything that had happened, Jack Ryder was made to realise that, like it or not, the Creeper was a part of him. He decided he was prepared to risk his life to protect him. Insanitation merged their bodies together once more, including all the duplicate Creepers, except one, the embodiment of self-loathing. During Jack's absence, his TV show was taken over by his on-and-off girlfriend and rival Vera Sweet. Once back in the saddle, his career as a top newsman went from strength to strength. After moving to Metropolis, he fell foul of Clark Kent by temporarily stealing his spot as top reporter for the Daily Planet. They had compared for stories in the past, but their rivalry had become much more intense. Jack seemed to enjoy needling Kent about his change of fortunes, until once again Clark assumed his rightful status as senior reporter and Ryder left the paper. Metropolis is a very different city to Gotham, especially since it was overrun with Brainiac 13's deadly futuristic technology. But after supervillains Sledge and Thaddeus Kilgrave killed each other and were revived in a single composite body, who better to take on their combined menace than the two-in-one hero that is the Creeper? Even as his professional life seems to have settled down, Jack Ryder's troubles look set to continue. Recurring bouts of insanity threaten to disturb the uneasy truce between his twin personalities. As long as criminals prey on the weak and innocent, they will have to beware the anarchic force of nature who calls himself the Creeper. His resilience, unpredictability, and the unerring drive for justice that he shares with Jack Ryder make him a formidable opponent and an invaluable ally.